Join nearly 1,400 entrepreneurs and students at the 2013 Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization National Conference in Chicago, October 31st through November 2nd. Visit CEO.org for more information. That's C-E-O.org.
This is Michael Lukes from the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, joined by entrepreneur and founder of the Taste of the NFL, Wayne Kostroski. Wayne, thanks a lot for joining me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Good to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Taste of the NFL.
Taste of the NFL started in 1992, and there's kind of a tagline that went along with it from the very beginning called Party with a Purpose. And really, that's what it's been for the last 22, going on 23 years now. It was created and is executed every year for the single purpose of raising awareness and dollars for hunger, not only in the culinary and the sports community, but as many corners of the country that we possibly can. Because the event takes place to raise awareness and dollars for hunger every year at the Super Bowl, but has grown beyond that to help food banks across the country as well. The event the night before Super Bowl is we bring in a top chef representing a great restaurant in each of the NFL cities and pair them up with a player. Could be a current, could be alumni, could be a Hall of Famer. And you go to the different stations with each team, the Dallas Cowboys, the Chicago Bears, etc., and you visit, you taste the food from that restaurant, you meet the chef, you get a great sampling of a premier wine from E&J Gallo, and then you slide on over and you get an autograph from one of these legends, either current or past legends of the NFL. One thing to note, all the chefs, all the players, all the folks that volunteer for the presentation are volunteers. It's amazing that the night before Super Bowl you get so many parties going on, but this is the premier party at Super Bowl, and it's the hottest ticket, but it's also the best ticket because it is only there to raise awareness and dollars for hunger, and these great legends of the gridiron, as well as some of the finest chefs and culinary students across the country, all participate because they also believe in the cause, and the result is that more families are fed in the 32 food banks across the country.
And how many people show up at the event on average?
It really is based on the capacity of the room. We have had as many as 3,000 people in our 20th anniversary at the Fort Worth Convention Center a few years back in North Texas, and I think the least amount we've ever had is 2,200. This coming year will be, since it's New York, New Jersey area, it will be the largest ever. Our capacity is going to be 3,200 people, and we're going to hold the event the night before Super Bowl in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal. We're taking over the entire space, including parking a luxury boat next to it so folks can enjoy the party inside the terminal, or they can step out onto the boat as well and take a look at the southern view of Manhattan and the Statue of Liberty and everything else and enjoy the evening. So it's going to be the largest ever, and it looks like our goal will be we will top a donation distributed to the food banks in excess of $1 million. And what's really important to understand, Michael, is that although we talk sometimes in dollars, every dollar is able to provide an average of about 8 meals through a food bank in a particular community. So if we indeed do exceed our goal of $1 million, that will have created over 8 million meals that were not there because if for the fact of Taste of the NFL taking place. And that's why the inspiration goes so deep with these players and chefs and culinary students and volunteers, is that they know that kind of effect is taking place, and that every little bit goes a long way. And in this case, 8 million more meals will be able to be served to families who need them the most.
Now, you had a very interesting start to becoming an entrepreneur and a difference maker. You were a professional musician when you first got involved with restaurants. What was it that drew you into the restaurant business?
Well, it actually was by accident. When I was a kid, I didn't dream of being a musician nor a restaurateur nor a philanthropist either. So what happened was I was playing music for a number of years and recorded and toured, and we had some success touring the country with the group mostly in the 70s. And at some point, we just basically decided that we said, okay, we're probably not going to be the next Beatles or anywhere close to them. So we decided to move on to some other opportunities. And it just happened at the time that we were based in Madison, Wisconsin, and traveling out of there. And there was an entertainment complex up in Minneapolis that we had played quite often over our careers, and it was one of the more popular spots in the Midwest. And one of the people in charge there asked if I would come up and get involved with running the entertainment and the nightclub there, and I decided that's what I would try. And part of the rest of the complex was also food service and dinner theater and such, so I got nosy about food and beverage and operations as such, and kind of started my career kind of transitioning from working with entertainment and music in general over into food service. And as they say, never look back. 35 years I've been in the restaurant business and had a number of restaurants over the years, and still have a restaurant and a bakery as my day job, because Tasty NFL is all volunteer for me as well for the last 22 years. But that's how I didn't go looking for it, and I think that's one of the great things about someone having an entrepreneurial mind, is that you're always keeping your eyes and your ears open for opportunities, either within the field you're in, or just keep your eyes open for opportunities that may intrigue you or may trigger a passion in you, and that's really what happened for me. I was very fortunate. I didn't plan all this to happen, but I kind of went along with the signs as they came up and tried to do my best in any area that I had, and it's worked out very well, and I've been very blessed.
Was that a hard transition from being a musician to being involved with the restaurant industry, or were you able to use some of your creativity and other artistic abilities to help ease that transition?
Well, I was very fortunate. It was a more smooth transition than I would have thought, and certainly than maybe others might think too. But kind of from a humorous standpoint, it really isn't much different being in the music business than it is being in the restaurant and hospitality business. For one thing, you're working when other people aren't. More often than not, you're the entertainment, whether you're playing music or serving meals or providing memories for your guests in a restaurant. You're working the nights, you're working the holidays, you're working the New Year's Eve and Mother's Day. You're working very long hours, and if you're dedicated to your craft, you put those hours in because you know that it'll have good results. And whether you're writing a song or trying to perfect a tune, or you're trying to make sure that the experience for a guest is the best it can be, ironically, fortunately for me, they overlap pretty well. So in some ways, I was already trained and prepared for the hospitality industry by many years of being in the music and entertainment business. And both of them there's another similarity, Michael, that's pretty kind of cool, I like finding cool, is that you get instant reaction in both industries. In the music field, you finish playing a song, and you've got an audience in front of you, and they're either going to clap and cheer that they like the song, or they're not, or they're going to throw stuff at you and tell you to get off the stage. You don't have to wait for any committee reports or anything to come in. Same thing with the restaurant. If you, for example, are sitting with some guests in a restaurant, you're going to let me know, and I'm going to try to make sure I ask you, are you enjoying the experience? Is there anything else we can do for you? And you will tell me. You won't say, I'll get back to you in a week. I'll have to check with the rest of the people at the table. So both the entertainment world and the hospitality world happen to hold the same kind of common thread of you get the reaction and you get the opportunity to know how well you did, and that also gives you an opportunity to improve or change something that will make it a better experience the next time. It was fun to learn that. I didn't know that going from one to the other either, but each time I kind of thought about it, it was a pretty nifty common piece that in some ways I was already ready for the restaurant business.
Now, going back to 1992, what was it that led to the creation of Taste of the NFL?
Well, for a number of years prior to that, probably in the early to mid-'80s, I had a couple of restaurants, and one of them was a very high note in Minnesota and nationally known as well as a fine dining restaurant. And we happened to get asked by other chefs and other restaurateurs who were interested and had a passion for hunger relief in the country to attend and participate in other events. For example, Wolfgang Puck would invite us each year to go out for the Meals on Wheels benefit that he holds each year and still holds each year out in Universal Studios. And that and other events in Florida and in Texas where other chefs who were very dedicated to the issue of hunger, we'd get invited to be, one of 15 to 20 restaurants participating in a particular fundraiser. I gained two things out of that. One, I got a much deeper understanding of how important the issue of hunger was and how it does relate directly to the industry in which I worked, that is hospitality, and it's all about food and, all about food and the people gathering around food for family gatherings and major meetings and small meetings and celebrations and sadness, etc., that the issue of hunger took that away from a lot of people and still does, that they don't have the food to gather around and exchange even the their day's activities with each other. So I got a deeper understanding and appreciation for the issue of hunger. It also introduced me to some of the finest chefs and finest restaurateurs in the United States, because we would interact, we would all be working hard together for this cause at a particular event, and you got to know each other pretty well. So when Super Bowl was announced to be coming to Minnesota, obvious a very cold site for a Super Bowl, we here in Minnesota, the host committee that was formed, and I was asked to serve on the host committee for Super Bowl, chairing the restaurant committee. And at the time, for a couple of years around that Super Bowl, I was the president of the Minnesota Restaurant Association. So it was my responsibility, volunteer responsibility, to coordinate 2,500 to 3,000 restaurants in the state of Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis-St. Paul to get their expectations ready for Super Bowl. And the committee was always looking for some different activities or something that might give the experience for the Super Bowl attendee coming up for that weekend, those 4 days, something different that they'd remember in Minnesota other than that there was snow and it was cold. And so I had the idea that what if I got a hold of a chef who was interested and dedicated to hunger, a chef from each NFL city. At the time, there were 28 cities. What if I got them and got a hold of some players, one from each team, to pair up, and we'll create this event, the Party with a Purpose, Taste of the NFL, the night before Super Bowl in 1992, and we did. And it was the number one net fundraiser. It sold out within a week. It was that was attended by 1,000 people. We had a very small facility that first year, but everybody came in, chefs from even the wonderful climates of Miami, Phoenix, Dallas, San Diego, Los Angeles. They had a team at the time. All came in without any compensation, as now, and they were dedicated that 100% of what we'd raise we'd give away to the food banks. And that started back in 1992, and now 22 years later, going on our 23rd year, that single one-night event each year has cumulatively provided us to be able to distribute $14 million for hunger relief, and also create other programs like local team events with the Bears and the Cowboys and the Vikings and Rams, etc., the Giants, Jets, all doing a taste in their own community during the season to raise money for their local food bank that are supported. So it started with an idea that came out of an experience of being involved to begin with, and I think that also is a really, really important point of an entrepreneur's spirit, is to certainly focus on your craft, develop a passion for what you want to do as a career, what kind of work you want to do, what kind of impact you want to have on your business, what kind of results financially you can get to build a business. But at the same time, I think the truly good and strong entrepreneurs and the successful ones always keep their eyes and their ears open for what else can we do, what else can our cumulative talents provide in some way for someone else other than just our business. And that's really this family, if you will, that's been created by this network of volunteers over the 22 years is really astounding. But it really is also a collection of the entrepreneurial spirit of saying, look, we're in this to make a good living and be successful and be good, best at what we can do, what we have a talent to do. But at the same time, let's keep an eye out for others and what other impact we can have just by doing our work.
Yeah, on behalf of the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, I want to thank you for agreeing to speak at the 2013 CEO National Conference in Chicago. What will you be speaking to students about?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the invitation. I got to tell you, I am really pumped up to be part of the program. I'm familiar with the program. I've looked into it even more so when it was first brought to my attention. I think the work that you guys are doing is really exceptional, and I think it's a great format and program to pull together so many different angles of entrepreneurship, and certainly the attendees are going to get the cream of the crop across the board of a lot of different ideas and a lot of other attempts and results and impact. I will be talking what I like talking about across the country as often as I can, and that's called Giving is Good Business, and basically boils it down to getting Super Bowl results for your personal life, your professional life, and your community life. And what that all means is giving is good business. I think one of the most important things that I try to get across to someone is that while it's important to quote-unquote give back, it is really more important to give as you go. And that is while you are even in school, while you're getting your first job, while you're realizing your first feel of passion for a particular field of work or in what you believe is going to be your career, don't wait to look and see how else you can impact your community and impact your personal life while you're working with your professional life. To me, it's a balance of three, and that's what I'll be talking about, how those three areas can balance out for best results. And frankly, part of what I talk about is the definition of success and happiness, and that also is hopefully what, once you pull those three pieces in balance, and I'll give plenty of examples of that, and hopefully encourage and inspire people to realize that they're sitting right in front of them, that they can do the same. Once you get those three things in balance and understood for yourself first, you can have tremendous impact, and you'll have not only success in what you're doing in all three areas, but I would submit that it will make you the happiest you could possibly be. So it's a presentation that is pretty interactive, but it also is really focused on having everyone understand a little bit better what they have within them. They already have a spirit in them. They already have a desire to succeed and to be happy, but perhaps I can present some ideas and some new ways that they might look at things differently and either get them there quicker or get them there with more satisfaction.
Great. And what are a couple ways that young entrepreneurs can give back? Because a lot of them are just starting their business and just getting out in the real world. They don't necessarily have the capital to donate to different organizations. How can young entrepreneurial-minded people give back?
That's a great question, Michael, and I addressed that in the conversation that I'll have in that presentation as well. But to answer the question directly, forget about the financial side of it. Forget about dollar capital. Forget about wondering if you're going. When is the right time to start giving $1 or giving $10 or giving $100 towards something. Have it start from your spirit. Have it start from your passion. What you have, everyone has right now, is they have areas of talent that they possess, and they have some pockets of time, not chunks of time, but they have pockets of time. And if they can combine that, the talent that they have with some donated time towards something that they may find important to them or wonder if it's important to them, a cause, their church, their school, their local community, something that perhaps strikes them. And I also talk about don't let tragedy decide that for you. Don't wait until something happens in your life that, let's say, it has to do with cancer, it has to do with drunk driving. It has to do with drugs. It has to do with anything else that it strikes your family and you see something tragic happen to your family, and then you understand maybe I can donate some time and some effort and talent toward a particular cause. Certainly that may come and that may happen. But right now, everybody, particularly those in the age of development, if you will, through college and right after college, where you're starting to develop really who you are as a professional and personal person and where you're going in this life, add community to that as you go. It's not all about money. It is really about talent. You may be able to pitch in a particular area that you know better than someone else at any local organization. They would welcome the talent. And it's not just, in the case of, say, food banks, for example, it's wonderful to volunteer and pack food and deliver stuff on occasion, et cetera, but it's also important that if you can help better organize their system because you are sharp in the area of either data gathering or computers or business organization or distribution, you don't have to have a checkbook to make a difference. All you need is your spirit, your talent, and whatever time you have to provide. And what will happen is that always will grow, and you will get more back than what you put in. But once you start giving, you're going to feel incredible results by your contributions of just talent and time and input. It doesn't all hinge around capital and dollars. Ultimately, hopefully it can, but that's not where you start.
Now, out of all the awards and accolades you received as a philanthropist and entrepreneur, what in your career are you most proud of, and why?
I don't know that I'm most proud of any one or the other. I probably would have a better sense of pride if I felt I better deserved many of those. I think the biggest satisfaction of recognition that I have gotten, and every once in a while get the great opportunity to get again, is when I am visiting a food bank and I see the work that incredible people are doing to help other individuals and families in need. And what I get the biggest reward from is when I can talk with, or I get approached by, through the director of that organization, that someone wants to thank me for the work. They found out that the work we do helps support their family and their community. You don't hang that on a wall, and you don't, put that on a list. That's not the most. Those other things are not what sticks out most in my mind as far as my most satisfying, recognition, if you will. It really is someone, and this happened to me after one of the Super Bowl Tasting NFL events. We were at the food bank with the kind of the obligatory photo op and big check and grip and grin with the sponsors, and that's all important and that's good, and that needs to happen. But afterwards, what happened? The director came up with a mom and two kids and said, "Would you mind, Mr. Kostroski? This mom would like to introduce you to her kids, and they have something to say to you." And I got introduced and kind of leaned over and said, "How are you guys doing?" And the older boy, about 6 years old, said, "Sir, I don't know who you are or what you do, but my mom tells me what you do helps us have a meal, more meals than we usually have, and I want to thank you for that." And here it is coming from a 6-year-old kid, taking it down to the level of volunteerism and why you should be involved and why part of your entrepreneurial makeup should be, how do I factor in, some way to help someone else when I can. It's not, you don't do it, every day, every minute, but when you can. At moments like that, I don't even remember what awards and recognition and whatever has come my way. That's the most important moment. So that's really what stands out in my mind. And fortunately for me, that happens a little more often now over the last few years when I'm able to, have the experience of some family or some kids being able to kind of recognize even generally what we do. And as soon as that happens, I turn around and I literally send out a note to all the players and the chefs and say, "Let me tell you what just happened, and you guys are all making this happen, and keep doing what you're doing." And it's pretty amazing. I mean, that's as they say, that's where the rubber hits the road. It's really not about big Super Bowl parties and games and celebrities and all that kind of good stuff. It's really about, what's the result of all this? Are we really affecting families? And when you have that moment, that just gets you all fired up to work even harder.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll wrap up here with one final question. What's your best piece of advice for a young entrepreneur?
Well, that's part of my presentation too, and I'll go more in detail. And it really it simply is all about using all your senses wisely, and that is, listening and looking and smelling and listening again before you speak, and finding a way to touch people literally around you, handshakes, a hug, opening of a door, and that advice. Really, using your senses to their utmost and wisely really came from my older brother, who was kind of my inspiration. My parents divorced when I was younger, and my brother, 7 years older than me, really, I was 12 and he was 19, entering college, etc. And he was always an inspiration for me. And he died when he was 32 years old. He passed away. He was had a PhD in political science, was a professor at different universities across the country, and just had a brain aneurysm one day and was gone. But what stuck with me was this, he sat me down one time and said, here's a piece of advice for you. And I got asked that question one time in an article about a dozen years ago, and I went right back to it and said, look, the best advice I ever got was from my brother, and that was to appreciate all your senses, use your senses every single day, and use it to not only improve what you're trying to do in your pursuit of success and happiness, but also in how you can best help others and those around you by using those senses as well.
Great. Well, thanks again. This has been Michael Lukes with Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization. With Wayne Kostroski of Taste of the NFL. Wayne, thanks a lot, and we look forward to hearing you speak come late October.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And again, thank you so much for inviting me, and anybody that's listening that is on the fence of attending.